Once upon a time, in the Igbo village of Umudike, there lived a man named Ezeudo. Ezeudo was the younger brother to the village king and a man of considerable wealth and influence. He had two sons, Maduka the elder and Onyeka the younger. Ezeudo's life was one of privilege, filled with the respect and admirations of the villagers. Maduka, the elder son of Ezeudo, had always been a figure of contrast. From a young age, he exhibited a burning ambition that set him apart from his peers. He was determined to carve out a name for himself, to stand out in a world where power and recognition were the ultimate prize. Yet, this ambition often manifested as arrogance, a belief that he was destined for greatness and that the world owed him his wishes. His insatiable hunger for more drove him to pursue wealth and status with a single-minded intensity, often at the expense of wisdom and caution. Onyeka, in stark contrast, was the epitome of humility and kindness. Where Maduka sought the spotlight, Onyeka found contentment in the simple pleasures of life. He was deeply loved by the villagers, who admired his generosity and integrity. Onyeka understood the value of patience, of allowing time to shape his destiny rather than forcing it. His calm demeanor and steady approach to life endeared him to everyone, and he was known for his willingness to help others, often putting their needs before his own. As they grew older, the differences between the brothers became more pronounced. Maduka's desire for immediate success gnawed at him, until one day he could no longer contain his impatience. He approached his father, Ezeudo, with a bold request, his eyes burning with determination as he demanded his share of the inheritance. Maduka believed that with the wealth in his hand, he could finally prove himself, surpassing not just his peers, but everyone in the village, including his own family. Ezeudo, a wise and experienced man, listened carefully to his eldest son's request. He knew Maduka's heart well. He understood the ambition that drove him, but he also saw the danger in his son's impatience. Ezeudo has spent years building the family's wealth and reputation, and he knew that true success required not just hard work, but also patience, wisdom, and the ability to learn from life's lessons. With a gentle yet firm voice, Ezeudo advised Maduka to be patient. He urged his son to stay and learn the intricacies of the family business, to understand the value of the wealth he was so eager to possess.
My son,
Ezeudo said,
riches are not merely coins and land. They are the fruit of wisdom, the result of understanding the world and the people in it. Patience, my son, is a greater virtue than gold. Take your time, learn the ways of the world under my guidance, and your inheritance will grow beyond your wildest dream.
But Maduka, blinded by his own ambition, saw his father's advice as nothing more than an obstacle to his desire. He was convinced that he knew better, that his destiny was waiting for him beyond the village, and that patience was a luxury he could not afford. He believed that his father was holding him back, chaining him to a life of mediocrity when greatness was within his grasp. Frustrated and driven by his desire to prove himself, Maduka refused his father's counsel. He insisted on taking his inheritance immediately, certain that he could multiply it many times over with his own hands. Ezeudo, though saddened by his son's impatience, respected Maduka's decision. With a heavy heart, he granted Maduka his share, hoping that life would eventually teach his son the lesson he had so eagerly dismissed. Maduka's journey began the moment he laid his hand on his inheritance, an immense fortune that held the promise of a bright future. Eager to prove himself, Maduka set his sights on a city he had heard about in countless tales. A city that seemed almost too good to be true. This city, a beacon of prosperity and opportunity, was called Nkpor, a place where the streets were said to be lined with golden opportunities, where the air buzzed with the energy of commerce, and where the wealthiest merchants and traders from across the land gathered to exchange goods and amass fortune. Nkpor was a city of grandeur, with towering structures of intricately carved stones, bustling markets filled with exotic wares, and grand avenues where the wealthy parade their latest luxury. The scent of spice and the sound of music filled the air, and the night was alive with the glow of lanterns, promising both adventure and fortune. Maduka arrived in Nkpor with stars in his eyes and gold in his pockets. His heart raced as he took in the sight and sound of the vibrant city. Without a moment's hesitation, he threw himself into business, investing in expensive farmlands, luxurious trading posts, and grand merchant ships. His initial success was staggering. The money flowed in and his confidence soared. He believed he had the Midas touch, that every venture he undertook was destined to turn to gold. However, Maduka's enthusiasm was not matched by prudence. He was headstrong and reckless, often diving into ventures without careful considerations or strategic planning. The profit rolled in at first, but Maduka did not foresee the cracks forming beneath the surface. Blinded by his early success, he began to indulge in the city's opulent lifestyle. He threw grand parties in his sprawling mansion, invited the city's elite to partake in his newfound wealth. These parties became the talk of Nkpor, known for their excess and splendor. Lavish feast, flowing wine, and music that plays through the night. All of Nkpor was in awe of Maduka's wealth and generosity. It was at one of these extravagant gatherings that Maduka met Adaeze, a woman of unparalleled beauty. Adaeze's allure was undeniable. Her skin gleamed like polished ebony, and her eyes sparkled with a brilliance that captivated all who gazed into them. She moved with grace and confidence, her every step exuding charm and poise. But beyond her striking appearance, Adaeze was a woman who harbored an insatiable thirst for wealth. She was drawn to the finer things in life, jewels, silks, and gold, and saw in Maduka not just a man, but a gateway to the life of opulence she had always craved. Maduka was smitten by her beauty and charm, and before long, Adaeze became his wife. Their wedding was the most extravagant the city had ever seen, filled with the pomp and pageantry. The celebration only served to further erode Maduka's fortune, as no expense was spared in making it a day to remember. Adaeze reveled in the luxury, her heart swelling not with love, but with the satisfaction of the riches she now had at her fingertips. However, as Maduka's spending grew more expensive, the reality of his situation began to set in. His ventures, once so promising, began to falter. Poor management and dishonest partners took their toll on his farmlands and trading posts, while his grand merchant ship, once the pride of his fleet, were lost to storms and pirates. The steady stream of wealth that had once flowed so freely began to dry up. But Maduka, blinded by pride and driven by the need to maintain his lavish lifestyle, refused to see the signs. Adaeze, ever the opportunist, began to notice the crack in Maduka's fortune. The parties became less frequent, the gifts less extravagant, and the servants fewer in number. Her love, if it could ever be called that, began to fade, replaced by a cold indifference as she watched Maduka's wealth slip through his fingers. She encouraged him to take greater risk, to chase after one more deal that could restore their fortune, all the while knowing that her own loyalty was tied not to the man, but to the money. As Maduka's desperation grew, so too did his recklessness. He gambled away the last of his wealth on dubious ventures, borrowed money from unsavory characters, and mortgaged his remaining assets, all in a futile attempt to reclaim the life he once knew. But it was too late. The final blow came when a major trading expedition failed spectacularly. The debt collectors descended like vultures, stripping him of everything he had left. Adaeze, seeing no more value in Maduka, left him without a word, disappearing into the night to seek her fortune elsewhere. Broken and humiliated, Maduka returned to his hometown of Umudike, a shadow of the man who had once left with such high hopes. His arrogance had been replaced by bitterness, his confidence shattered by failure. The city of Nkpor, once a place of dreams, had become the stage of his downfall, and Maduka returned home with nothing but the bitter lessons of his pride and recklessness. Onyeka's life was a stark contrast to his elder brothers. While Maduka chased after quick wealth and luxury, Onyeka remained at home, focusing on learning the family business under the wise guidance of their father, Ezeudo. From a young age, Onyeka demonstrated a natural aptitude for business, but it was his patience and humility that truly set him apart. Ezeudo, recognizing these qualities in his younger son, took great care in mentoring Onyeka. He taught him the intricacies of trade, the importance of integrity in business dealings, and the value of building relationships based on trust. Onyeka absorbed these lessons eagerly, knowing that success was not just about wealth, but about earning the respect and love of those around him. Seeing Onyeka's potentials, Ezeudo encouraged him to further his knowledge by traveling to the white man's land, where he could learn modern business practices and technologies. Onyeka agreed, understanding the importance of this opportunity. In the white man's land, he studied diligently, learning about advanced farming techniques, international trade, and modern management strategies. These experiences broadened his perspective and equipped him with the tools needed to elevate the family business to new heights. When Onyeka returned to Umudike, he was well prepared to take over the family's remaining fortune. He made wise and strategic investments, carefully considering every decision before taking action. Onyeka expanded the family's agricultural operations, introduced innovative techniques to improve yield, and established new trade routes that opened up lucrative markets. His leadership transformed the business, making it more prosperous than ever before. Under Onyeka's stewardship, the family business flourished and he became the richest man in the kingdom, even surpassing the wealth of the village king. However, unlike his brother, Onyeka never flaunted his wealth. He lived a modest life, dedicated to helping those in need. Onyeka frequently donated to the poor, founded community projects, and provided jobs to villagers who needed work. His humility and generosity endeared him to everyone in the village. Despite his immense wealth, Onyeka remained grounded, often performing household chores himself, embodying the values of hard work and simplicity that his father had instilled in him. It was during one of these humble acts of kindness that Onyeka met Nkem, the woman who would become his wife. One day, while helping an elderly woman carry firewood to her home, Onyeka encountered Nkem, who was the elderly woman's granddaughter. Nkem was a vision of gentle beauty, with skin as smooth as silk and eyes that radiate warmth and kindness. Her smile could light up even the darkest of days, and her presence was a source of comfort to all who know her. Nkem came from a family that was neither rich nor poor, but they were respected for their honesty and hard work. Her father was a diligent farmer, and her mother was a skilled weaver, known for the intricate patterns she crafted with care. Nkem had inherited her parents' strong work ethics and was known in the village for her compassion. She often helped the sick and the elderly, offering a kind word or a healing herb to those in need. Her gentle nature and unwavering faith made her beloved by all. Onyeka was immediately drawn to Nkem's inner and outer beauty. He admired her humility, her dedication to helping others, and the quiet strength she possessed. Nkem, in turn, was captivated by Onyeka's kindness, wisdom, and the deep sense of responsibility he carried. Their love story blossomed naturally, built on mutual respect and a shared vision for a life rooted in simplicity and service. As they spent more time together, their bond deepened. Onyeka and Nkemu would often take long walks through the fields, discussing their hopes and dreams, and planning a future filled with love and purpose. Their relationship was a source of joy, not just for them, but for the entire village, who saw in them the ideal of what true love and partnership should be. Their wedding was a simple yet joyous affair, attended by the entire village. The celebration was filled with laughter, music, and the blessings of everyone who knew them. Onyeka and Nkemu built a home that became a sanctuary of love and peace, a place where they could nurture their dreams and support each other in all things. Together, they embodied the values of hard work, humility, and compassion, and their union became a shining example for others to follow. But a few days after their wedding, everything changed. Maduka, humiliated and desolate after squandering his inheritance, returned to Umudike. Seeing the success and happiness that Onyeka had achieved, Maduka was consumed by jealousy and greed. Despite the bitterness in his heart, he feigned humility, pretended that his misfortunes had changed him. He begged his father for access to family wealth once more, but Ezeudo remained resolute, denying Maduka any further inheritance. Unable to accept his brother's success, Maduka's envy festered into something darker. He secretly began to poison Onyeka, using a concoction he learned about during his reckless ventures. The poison was subtle, designed to slowly weaken Onyeka and prevent him from fathering a child, an act of spite and cruelty born from Maduka's twisted sense of failure and resentment. Years passed, and with each season that came and went, Onyeka and Nkem's hope for a child slowly began to fade. The longing in their hearts was a constant silent ache that neither could fully express. Yet, Through it all, they remained devoted to one another, their love deepening with every shared moment of joy and sorrow. Their home, once filled with the dreams of children's laughter, now echoed with the quiet sounds of their steadfast faith and the unspoken prayers that lingered in the night air. Nkem, ever the optimist, clung to the belief that one day their prayers would be answered. She refused to let go of the hope that had sustained them for so long. One fateful afternoon, as Nkemu walked through the bustling market on her way home, she noticed a frail old woman sitting on the ground, her hands outstretched in quiet desperation. The woman's clothes were threadbare, her skin weathered by the harshness of life. Her eyes, though dimmed with age, carried a deep sadness that spoke of countless sorrow. She was a figure almost lost amidst the vibrancy of the market, a stark reminder of life's cruel realities. Moved by compassion, Nkemo approached the woman. Without a moment's hesitation, she knelt beside her, offering not just a few coins, but her hand. Nkemo gently helped the woman to her feet. Her heart aching at the sight of such weariness, she guided the old woman back to her home, where she prepared a warm meal and gave her a place to rest. Nkem treated her with the same kindness and care she extended to everyone, never asking for anything in return. Her only desire is to ease the woman's suffering, if only for a moment. As the evening settled in, the old woman, now rested and revived, looked at Nkemu with eyes that gleamed with an outwardly light. She was deeply moved by Nkemu's generosity, by the way this young woman had opened her heart and home without hesitation. The old woman reached out and took Nkemu's hand in her own, her grip surprisingly strong despite her frail appearance. In a voice that seemed to resonate with wisdom beyond her years, the old woman spoke. "You have shown me great kindness, a kindness that is rare in this world. For this I shall bestow upon you a blessing, a gift that you and your husband have long yearned. Soon you will bear a child who will bring you endless joy and be a light to your family." The woman's words were spoken with such conviction, such undeniable power, that Nkemu felt a certain warmth spread through her, as if her very soul had been touched. She felt hope ignite within her once more, a hope that she had almost lost in the depths of her despair. Tears welled in Nkem's eyes, and she thanked the old woman, her heart brimming with a renewed sense of belief. True to the old woman's promise, not long after, Nkemu discovered she was with child. The news filled their home with a joy so profound that it seemed to lift the very walls. Onyeka, always a man of deep faith, was overwhelmed with gratitude. He saw the pregnancy as nothing short of a miracle, a divine reward for the kindness and unwavering faith they had shown throughout the years. Their home, once quiet with longing, was now alive with preparation for the arrival of the long-awaited child. Nkemo's laughter returned, filling every corner of the house with a melody of joy. Onyeka, who had always been steadfast, now moved with a lightness in his steps, his heart soaring with the promise of fatherhood. The villagers, too, rejoiced in the couple's happiness. They spoke of Nkem's kindness and how it had finally brought them the blessing they so deserved. The tale of the old woman's prophecy spread throughout the village, and many believed that she had been more than she seemed, a messenger of the gods, perhaps a spirit of the ancestors sent to reward the couple's unwavering faith and generosity. As the days passed, Onyeka and Nkem waited with bated breath for the arrival of their child. Their heart was full of hope and their home full with the warmth of a long-awaited miracle. What would happen next? If you want to know how Onyeka and Maduka's story unfold, make sure to like and subscribe to African Folktales by Naichi. Don't miss out on the continuation of this compelling tale coming next week. Hit the notification bell so you will be the first to know when part 2 is released. Your support helps us to bring more exciting stories to life.